Howdy again, Mr. Pete, your interweb shop teacher, and this is short subject number 19, and it's all about C-clamps. I know you've been waiting a long time for this, so I have in front of me here 10% of my C-clamps, and almost all of them are very high quality. Stay away from the cheapies unless you're a woodworker and you don't need a lot of pressure, but I like fine tools, and I think a lot of you out there do as well. So these represent the major brands. Some of them may be no longer in business. I don't think I ever bought a new C-clamp of high quality, and you can't either because you can't afford them. Armstrong, Williams, and so on. So let's take a closer look at these, and I also will show you my favorites. Well, how can you have a favorite C-clamp? Well, you can if you work with them long enough. So here we go. Let me set this aside. I use this for trimming my nose hairs. Well, let's start here with a couple of deep throat clamps, and generally these are used for woodworking, and you can tell that because you're never going to be able to reach that deep with metal if you want any pressure. If you just want to hold it lightly, yeah, it's fine. But also note that it has a V-thread and a rather flimsy little handle here that you are going to bend. So this one's made by Pony. So I recognize that to be woodworking. They also made the ones that say Jorgensen on them, and I never had much luck with those in the school shop, and some of them just had like a thumb nut here rather than a long handle, which tells you they were for woodworking. But some of them, if the kids clamped down on them, the whole frame would bend such that the screw would be out of line. Have you ever experienced that? However, they were so poorly made that you could put them in a vise and put a wrench on them and bring them back into alignment, but you shouldn't have to do that. Well, here's another deep throat, and this must be a very, very old one because I never heard of pearlitic. Pearlite is a type of steel or a term used in heat treating. Notice this handle is bent, crooked as a dog's hind leg. So these work fine for special uses. Just don't expect to exert a lot of pressure on them. Cincinnati, I haven't seen too many of these, but I think this is for woodworking. Also, what does it say down here? Oh, it also says pearlitic right here. So I guess it's the same company. So this is a standard clamp, you know, not special, just standard. How long is it? Oh, it's 4 inches. But watch for Acme threads or square threads. Here is a swivel that probably is going to get knocked off. I do not like the quality of that. Again, fine for general purpose or if that's the only one you have. Brinks and cotton. That's a $2 and I can't read it, 35 or something like that. So you can tell that that's old. So these also to me are woodworking, and here's a little bit older one. Heavy duty, I guess you could say, but again it has, put the glasses on here. Yeah, I guess that is kind of a Acme thread, but it looks like a half-breed thread. Maybe they made up their own thread sizes. I don't know. Not crazy about those. Here's one that was given to me, actually a pair of them by John Glass not too long ago, and it is branded Colombian, but I think since it says that it's 75 millimeter, is probably made overseas, but I thank John for that anyway because he knows I love that Colombian name. All right, what else do we have here? Another one that says adjustable. Maybe I already showed one of those, I don't even remember. That's how short my memory is. But I can remember what I did in kindergarten. There's another adjustable. That swivel will not stay on there very long. If it's in a welding shop or a school shop, that'll be gone within days and swept up and thrown away, and I guess good riddance. But we have used our share of C-clamps over the years that just have a ball on the end when we're desperate, haven't we? Raise your hand if that has happened to you. Well, here is a very high quality Williams. I'm not totally sure that Williams is still in business, but Williams tools were excellent, made in Chicago, I believe, like Armstrong. What does it say here? It just says made in USA. Also look for drop forged, because if it's forged, it's far better and superior to a cast type of C-clamp. And here's another Williams, but I don't know why, extremely heavy. This is a heavy, heavy clamp, but it only uses a V-thread here. Nice swivel with some kind of retainer clip in there. Notice anything different about this? Yeah, it's got a square on the end here, so if before you bend this handle, go ahead and put a fits-all on there. Yes, a crescent wrench, adjustable wrench, but boy, you aren't going to bend this thing. Holy mackerel, this is probably already 70 years old and in perfect shape. There's another quality one. It's a Hargrave, and do you recognize that H trademark, made in the USA? Acme threads, not a good swivel in my opinion, although it's still on there. I would have thrown away or sold any clamps that I had without swivels, because it's just frustration for everyone, isn't it? But that Hargrave is a good clamp, and I'm not sure if they still made these, but very recently at a garage sale I bought 2 of these. I love the color, and this is Hargrave, Acme. Not a good swivel in my opinion, but with this copper coating or whatever it is here, I call this a spatter-proof welder's clamp. Raise your hand if you agree with me, and you're not going to lose this in the shop because of the brilliant safety green color. I like that. A lot more attractive than that, isn't it? I have many, many more Armstrong clamps than what you see here. And when I picked this up 15 minutes ago, I thought, what brand is this? And you can see somebody ground that off, and I don't know why, but if you look at it closely enough, there you're going to see the Armstrong iconic trademark, which makes my heart flutter. And here's another Armstrong, but the funny thing about this, also has a very good swivel on it. Nice heavy threads, a little bit rusty, but look, Bubba drilled a hole so you could hang it up. I don't know why you wouldn't hang it up by this, but so you could hang it up here. But of course he drilled it in a key spot where it could potentially break or bend at that weak point. So he created a weak point. So did this guy. So maybe Bubba owned both of these. I don't know, because I've had both of these since time immemorial. Put a little oil on your threads every time you go to use one of these clamps. And of course, when you see the words Drop Forge, Chicago, Illinois, boy, you know that this is a quality clamp. Before Bubba did this, but there again is the Armstrong label, and if you're anything like me, you love the Armstrong. Reminds me of baking soda. Now, nothing like baking soda, but here's one for a, not deep reach, but for thick work, I guess you could say. Armstrong. And here is an Armstrong that is incredibly heavy. I should get out the old Armstrong catalog and show you. They have pages and pages of C-clamps. Okay, you talk about heavy duty. Now this is extremely corroded, and I think welding spatter on here. A very cheap swivel on there, but notice that the screw here would not reach the full length here. So this would be for rather thick work without running the screw all the way down here, I suppose. Extremely thick and rigid right here. But why V-threads again on a heavy duty clamp? I do not know. Again, you could put a wrench right here on the square, but that didn't keep Bubba from giving it the Armstrong, did it? What have we got left here? Yet another Armstrong. Is this too much for you? But you know, you can just tell by hefting this that it's quality and American made. Don't you love that? Let me know if Armstrong's still in business. I'm not really sure. I think you can still get Armstrong wrenches, but who knows who makes them. And now for the exciting conclusion for my 2 favorite brands besides Armstrong. Let's start out with Proto. And I don't know, I just have a great love for any Proto tools. I don't have a whole lot of Proto C-clamps, but they used a lot of Proto tools at the high school, in the auto shop, and they sold them at a local parts store that's long out of business because of all of the O'Reillys and so on. But these are wonderful clamps and just beautiful to behold. Let me give you a little bit of Peterson worthless information, because I'm full of it. Full of what? Well, various things, but especially useless trivia. In the early 50s, the tools were called Plumb, right here. And when they ran this ad in an old Popular Science, this was big news, because they were changing the name from Plumb to Proto, which stood for Professional Tools. They were essentially the same tool. I'm pretty sure that there was a lawsuit, correct me if I'm wrong, and the lawsuit was filed, I believe, by Plumb Hammers, but I would like to know the truth on that. But boy, that was big news, wasn't it? By the way, if you ever run across Plumb, and notice how it's spelled, not plum, but plumb, and they had a neat trademark, but it's not really shown here. But, well, where was I going with this? Anyway, what I was going to say is, if you have any Plumb tools or you happen to see them at a garage sale, grab them right away. They are highly collectible by tool collectors. So Proto is maybe my second favorite, but I don't know why it is that I absolutely love Wilton C-clamps, and the reason is, I guess, because I like their vices, and we had some of these at school, but they would advertise their swivel as guaranteed to never fly off. And there's a little retaining ring in there. I don't think we're going to be able to see it now, but you will probably never see a Wilton C-clamp with a missing swivel. So those are my two favorites. Who cares? Okay, I hope you got something out of this. This is Mr. Pete saying so long for now, and this is the last video from my cold garage for the winter. It's November 1st today. See you next time.